For the first time this season, the Raptors have won 3 basketball games in a row, which begs the question, at 19-23, is the tank off? We're going to answer it in tonight's post-game show. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Amateur as we get into our post-game show for the Toronto Raptors and their 10-point victory against the Charlotte Hornets. Yes, as depressing as it is, it took the Raptors 42 games to win 3 games in a row. We've had plenty of 2-game win streaks, but never that 3-game win streak. And maybe the start of the season, that's what got us into this mess, because we kept kind of chugging along at 500, never really taking the next steps, even with easier games. We would beat, teams we shouldn't beat, but then we'd lose to teams that we shouldn't lose to. So it was a whole strange dynamic about this team, and then the bad run just put us in this hole. Just maybe we can dig ourselves, and in the words of Ja Rule, we need to figure out a way to dig ourselves out of this shit. 16-23, all hope was lost. I mean, pretty much all hope was lost, even for myself. A nice win against the Blazers with a very good team performance. One of the most pleasing performances to the eye that we've had all season against the Blazers. Brought in a lot of the tendencies that we had from that game, moving the ball really well, and we brought it into these 2 games against the Hornets. Now, I get it. The Hornets, they're not a good basketball team. They're 11-32 on the season. They're not what they're 6. They're now 6-18 in away games. Low-hanging fruit. But that's just the thing. There's been a lot of low-hanging fruit so far this season that the Raptors have not taken advantage of. And this is finally a situation where I really felt like we could do that. These back-to-back games seem like, narrative speaking, can be a little bit difficult because, you beat the team in one game, the next game, they know what the schemes you're going to throw at them, the adjustments can be made. But this was a wire-to-wire win for the Raptors. They led 2-0 and then 5-2, and I don't think it was ever tied again. If you bet the 7.5-point spread, it was pretty much a wire-to-wire cover. The Hornets made it 6 at one point, then they made it 5, but it came down once again to big shots, and though OG fell off after a hot start and Gary Trent fell off after a hot start, Siakam was outstanding all game, and Fred VanVleet hit a massive shot late in this game to just seemingly ice the game for this club, and 19-23 on the season. We knew that the Raptors were entering an easier pocket of the schedule, and in terms of win percentages, the Raptors have the easiest remaining schedule in the NBA. So with less than a month now away from the trade deadline, there are going to be conversations about maybe this team is good and can do something. The front office is going to buy as much time as possible in order to make these decisions because there's so many possibilities in the current NBA. It's not just straight up 8 teams make the playoffs. The play-in provides a little bit more of incentive to win. I mean, I'm still on the team play-in for what, but I believe that this team can go on a run and avoid the play-in tournament altogether. There's 40 games left in this season. The Raptors have the easiest remaining schedule. All these things need to be taken into account. That being said, I'm not completely off the train yet here. We're 19-23. We're 4 games under 500. The Hawks are not a pushover on Saturday by any means whatsoever. I am going to be looking at this team, and I'm understanding that, I think this team could go on a run, but equally, I see a pretty top-heavy draft class that, if we dip our name in the hat for Victor Wembanyama, your consolation prize, if you get a top 5, 6, 7 pick, you're still going to get a really good player for this team. We're close enough to tank and move further down. We're not going to be a bottom 4 team. That's just out of the question. But you can be a bottom 5 or 6 team. And you look on the other end, well, you're not that far out of a playoff spot and avoid the play-in tournament altogether. Decisions need to be made. Now, what went into this performance for the Raptors? There was some individual greatness on display once again, and it is from what will be a second-time All-Star here in Pascal Siakam. 11 for 13 from the field. Did you hear that? 11 for 13 from the field. 3 for 3 from 3. A lot of threes. 3 assists, 35 points, 7 rebounds. And it doesn't even feel like he's overexerting himself to do this a lot of the time. Like later in the game where the Hornets kind of were making a run back, Siakam kind of took over. But there was a period where it was just comfy. OG started really well, faded off, but still put up like a solid stat line. Gary Trent, I could say the exact same. Does get to 19 points, though. Barnes and VanVleet, I want to elaborate on a little bit further. So Barnes is really starting to showcase some extra aggression here. Taking 14 shots is awesome. Hitting 8 of them is also awesome. Almost a triple-double night, 21 points, 9 assists, 8 rebounds. We're just starting to see some better performances from Barnes to a more consistent degree. Sure, there are some bad ones mixed in there, but like there's clearly a lot of talent here. It's the reason he's being made untouchable by the Raptors. And part of the reason why Barnes has taken this extra step, getting more of the ball, Fred VanVleet, you really got to give this guy credit, okay? He's having a good string of games here. And a lot of it is he's stuffing the stat sheet, not just in the point category, because he's not really doing that. Only 11 points here, including a big 3 late. But 8 assists, like he's been piling on assists in the last 4 games. 5 rebounds, been piling on that in the last few games. There's something to be said about the respect he deserves from the fans, from us, about the sacrifices he's making here. It's clear he's a good player who can be ball dominant and succeed in doing that. He hasn't played that well this season, and he wants to be a winner. Maybe he's understanding that allowing other guys to have more touches and just kind of, do what needs to be done for the team is helping the team win. There is a certain amount of respect that needs to be had for Fred VanVleet for the self-sacrifice he's taken there. Now, I'm not just trying to ride this guy or anything, but for real, this is a much better player than an 8-shot per game type of guy. A guy who's taking 8 shots here. So full credit to him for doing that. It's helping us win games. And, for maybe other people watching, it's boosting his trade value. Sure. Further down, Chris Boucher, solid game. Achua really finding his feet off the bench, which is nice to see. Hernan Gomez, 5 points. Koloko with 3. Good production from the bench. Got good bench minutes here again. It was very good. Team stat-wise, I think both teams shot the ball incredibly. Yeah, it fell off in the fourth quarter from a 3-point perspective from the Raptors, but overall, it was quite good throughout the game. Both teams shoot above 50 from the field. Hornets just under 40 from 3. Raptors at 35. Big stat difference, which probably switches the game. 22 turnovers for them. We scored 26 off of them. 9 turnovers for us. They only scored 10 off of those. That is a big difference here. So, Raptors take advantage of a bad team, win this game. Now, a piece of information I want to share with you guys. So, this is the 3rd game in a row where the Raptors only play their starters mid-30s in minutes. No player plays 40 minutes for, I think it's 4 straight games, maybe 3 straight games where you play your starters like normal starter minutes, right? And there's a lot of people thinking wow, the Raptors are playing their starters less. 3 games they've done that. They've won all 3 games. When the starters play less, the Raptors win more games. But I think it's more correlation rather than causation here. I don't think that. It's more correlation than causation because the Raptors are winning these games. And what's helping them win games is that they have gotten better bench production. They've got 23 points off their bench today, which is probably more than they normally get. But good overall bench production through most of this game. When the bench is producing better in their minutes, they get more minutes. When the bench plays better and gets more minutes, the Raptors have a higher likelihood of winning the game. When they're doing all these things, the starters naturally play less minutes. So it's not the starters getting less minutes that is making the team better. It's the bench playing better, which is causing the Raptors to win these games and the starters to play less minutes because we're getting more to the bench. Just wanted to make that clear for anybody who was kind of getting those thoughts on it, thinking, wow, just play the starters less and you win games. But bench is important. You get productive bench. You can rest your starters more. That helps you win games 100%. Also, you just have more good players on the court. Hernan Gomez has stepped up in the last few games. Boucher stepped up. Achua finding his feet. Koloko just needs to stay out of foul trouble, really, and he can get more minutes. So that's good to see there. And let's talk about now the schedule coming up. What is this team going to be? Are we going to be a tanking team? Well, like I said, the front office is going to buy as much time as possible as any front office in the league would do. It's not just the Raptors holding off. We haven't really seen I think there's been one trade so far this season, and it was Boston traded a guy to the Spurs. I forget who it was. It was like not a notable name, but somebody like if you're an NBA fan and the Spurs waived. I forget. Nothing significant. Schedule coming up for the Raptors, though. You got your 2 easy wins out of the way. It gets a bit tougher, but there's still wins to be had here. Home at the Hawks, that's a winnable game. That's flat out a winnable game. MSG to play the Knicks, still a winnable game. I know the Knicks are good. You can win that game. Bucks, they're a little bit beat up with injuries. Can you find a way to win that? Timberwolves, same thing. This is going to be an important stretch. And the front office just wants a little bit more evidence on this team. How good can they be before they make a decision on trades? But we know, I talked about in yesterday's Amateur Sports video, they're active in trade discussions. Something's bound to happen. They're just deciding exactly what they want to do here. So, very impressive night here by the Raptors, albeit against the Hornets. Still, the ball's moving better, a lot of assists, a lot prettier on offense, less ISO-driven game. It's very nice to watch as a fan. We'll take the win. 4 games under 500. Let's see how much more we can make up and see what decision the front office has to make. If you guys enjoyed the content, please make sure you are subscribed to Amateur Hour Sports. Please make sure you have dropped a like as well. Support the content. Help us get on some more recommended pages. It does make a huge difference to the YouTube algorithm. We'll see you again next time when the Raptors take on the Hawks on Saturday.